All right, welcome back to Scouching's video room. Montreal Canadiens fans rejoice. Today we're looking at the chosen one, Mr. Ivan Demidov of SKA St. Petersburg. And what we're going to be doing today is basically like we did with Axel Sandin Pellikka. We're going to be looking at a game that I have not seen before, a performance of this player, go start to finish and see the ups and downs of the performance, see what the player's doing right now, and just give some overall general thoughts. So this is a game from a few days ago against Avangard Omsk, who are doing perfectly fine in the KHL this year. And I just wanted to pick a game recently where Demidov's been playing some decent minutes, and this is one that stuck out to me as a potentially good candidate. And just for full disclosure, Ivan Demidov was my number 2 player on my list last year, so I'm a big fan of this player, so just keep that in mind. He does have his ups and downs, so let's see how this game goes. So strap in and enjoy. I just wanted to showcase something real quick, because this is something that I've actually seen Ivan Demidov do a few times over the last 3 seasons, and it looks like it kind of is intentional, but on the breakout here, you'll notice that Demidov almost like fakes the breakout exit here, so he kind of just lets it go through his legs, and it's just something really interesting and maybe a tactical thing that might carry forward to Montreal as a deception tactic, I guess you could say, because he probably will be a significant breakout target, knowing what I know about Demidov's game. So I actually watched 3 games of Ivan Demidov earlier in the season when his KHL ice time was a little bit more fluctuating, and one thing I noticed was the physical play for him and the actual ability to cause turnovers wasn't really that consistent, and he was kind of losing battles here and there and just being a step behind and not putting in that extra 5% of effort, you know, getting to the spots where he's supposed to be and being as physical as he probably should be, especially when thinking about what the NHL is like. But this is a really good example of where things are kind of getting a little bit better than what I remember. I mean, he's not the most high-pace, intense guy going into this board battle here on the left wing, but what he does do is just win this battle. He sticks with it. That looks like a player that's much larger than him, and unfortunately, he doesn't really get the puck to anybody on his team and, you know, causes an extended defensive zone cycle. But that's the first instance where he's been kind of called upon in terms of a physical battle, and he came out almost on the right side of it, which compared to where he was before is a step in the right direction. So here goes Ivan Demidov doing his thing again, and this isn't the most notable thing in the world, but it is a sign of the kinds of things you see out of Demidov all of the time. So he's going to catch the puck here relatively clean in his own end, and then what you'll see him do here is kind of use his feet in a really interesting way, pulling the puck around this player here and basically creating a lot of room for himself to give himself a breakout option here. Pretty easy one as well. Like, there's a bit of pressure coming from here, but there's a lot of empty space for him to play with. Okay, so this is just Ivan Demidov being Ivan Demidov in this situation. So what you'll see is he'll catch a breakout pass from a line mate here once he gets off the bench. So yeah, pretty cleanly catches this. He's got a lot of open space to work with. He's facing a bit of forechecking pressure from this player potentially, and then a nice little skill move. Baits and pulls number 14 out of position a little bit, creating some nice space for Demidov to exploit here. Again, these kind of quick thinking moves and little shifty moments are going to be super important in order to create some space and time for himself to make a play, and that was a pretty easy breakout option there, but just a sign of something really solid in his game that you can definitely work on. So this wasn't the cleanest of exit passes here. I mean, obviously you would like this to be clean to this player, especially with runway of space to play with in front of him. Unfortunately, he misses his target and kind of flubs the pass, but they do manage to get into the offensive zone with possession anyway. So in the KHL, this is something that I've noticed with Ivan Demidov a few times, honestly, and it's just how much quicker he is to make a play to the middle of the ice from the perimeter. And in the MHL, he was a big possession guy. He loved to have the puck on his stick. He loved to play around the perimeter, take guys with him, go for a ride. But you can't really do that as much in the KHL, especially when you're not like an elite speed-wise skater, which I don't believe Demidov is. He's very dynamic and skilled and very creative. He doesn't really have that escape velocity that everybody just can't catch up to. So this is a really, really nice play here. Just get the puck off the boards here on a pretty easy retrieval and just make an easy pass here. They obviously tried to touch pass into the scoring areas there, but unfortunately no. Demidov sticks with the play a little bit. Good support for a guy that's stepping up here, and just a nice little stick check to keep the puck in the offensive zone. Again, hockey's a sport of little things, and that's little things out of Demidov that I've been noticing more and more as the season's worn on this year. So this is a good sequence out of Demidov here. I mean, pretty good, I would say. Like, you're going to see him a little tied up here with a player, but he does show a little bit more quickness than what I remember, getting away from this pressure pretty well and winning a race to a loose puck. I mean, this is probably a puck that Omsk should have control of when you think about it. There's 3 guys here. You've got another support option here. Now, I've been a little bit critical of Demidov's quickness in the past, but it does seem to be an area of improvement, and his willingness to use it to win those races to loose pucks and everything is better. Now, on the entry, he does get the gap closed on him, and he puts a low percentage shot on net. They maintain possession here and kind of throw it away a little bit, but this is another thing I liked out of Demidov, is that he's not going full tilt into the boards here, but he's also not abandoning the play. He's not just skating into this space here and just sort of cutting back and covering for a defenseman who's pinching here along the boards. But what he does is he just goes and supports along the corners here, causes an interaction here, doesn't level the guy, doesn't really need to, I suppose. And they do gain possession here and start a rush going the other way. But those little stick checks and those little moments of intensity were kind of what was hit or miss a little bit earlier in the year. You were seeing a little bit less of that. And I think that that was a bit of an issue as to why he wasn't gaining ice time. And there's another one. Another really, really well-timed coverage here. This isn't much of a threat, really. I mean, he's got tons of space to play with here, but this is a tough pass to get out here with pressure here, and you got Demidov coming in here, and he just steps right in, picks the puck free, gives a little poke, and they kind of have to reset from here again. So Omsk has established a cycle here, but again, this is something I also really like, and in the NHL, this is kind of what you need. So Demidov is down here, and obviously there's a lot of pressure going on down here. Bit of a tough play to get the puck rimmed around the back here. He's on his forehand, so 92 may have been able to get this puck there if he gave it a real good whack, but nothing really comes of this. You know, he does have another option here. If he just gets the puck away from him, he's got the support to get the puck moving up the ice. And so I've heard many times a criticism of his game is that the defense isn't really there, but just to be supportive and get play moving in the right direction, he's picking good spots. And in this defensive zone cycle, I feel like he's chipped in where necessary, and his line mates just haven't quite been as effective. So just going back, I mean, obviously in your ideal world, Demidov could interact with 37 here and cause a bit more of a disruption, and he kind of just floats through the slot, following it below the goal line. Now there's just a ton of space on Demidov's side of the ice here that Omsk can play with. I still have a hard time entirely putting it on Demidov, especially being a more offensive winger in the first place, and it being at the end of a shift after an extended defensive zone cycle, so exhaustion might be a factor as well. But there were a few moments there where, yeah, maybe you wanted a little more out of him, but there were also opportunities where that cycle wouldn't have happened in the first place if a few bounces went his way. So again, another ideal world thing. I mean, Ivan Demidov here gets the puck along the corner. So he's got the puck here. He has a pretty easy passing lane here. I mean, you've got 44 that might be a threat and step in there or get a stick in there or something, but Demidov kind of tries to make a second move and eats the puck along the boards with very little support around him. There's just not much. It's kind of him against the world in this situation, and he gets beaten pretty easily, and then they lose possession here. He sticks with it, right? Like, it's not a matter of like not trying for Ivan Demidov. Even on this play here, he doesn't really get physically involved, but he does have a chance of knocking down that pass if it was soft or knocked in the air. A little bit better awareness of this kind of a situation, getting the puck off the boards quicker, especially when there's an opportunity to be had, eating the puck along the boards, losing possession, and a rush coming the other way. Anything to help avoid situations like this, I will always try to explore. This is a fine sequence from Ivan Demidov here. They're going to face a defensive zone entry. I mean, he gets a little bit flat-footed here. He falls a step behind the opposing player here and isn't enough of a factor to cause a turnover in the neutral zone or on the defensive entry here. But I mean, the good thing is I think he is positioned well. He's found himself in the way of a potential entry pass here. He's going to track this guy into the half wall area. He switches out for number 77 here, but then he just gets right into the battle here in the corner and causes a little bit of havoc and gets the puck to 92, Evgeny Kuznetsov here, and then they're off and running up the ice. The defensive play with Demidov is not bad, but you do see that there are maybe a little bit of limitations. You know, if his explosiveness and first couple of steps can come a ways, then he could be a lot more effective. Another really nice quick pass here. Quick thinking, again, is going to be key for him. It's not the most perfectly placed pass here, but he is actively keeping the puck in the middle of the ice and creating a shot assist for himself. Really smart here as well. I mean, this is just Ivan Demidov at work, right? A fake shot here, pull it around the defender, and then try to exploit this space as best you can, which he gets blocked off, but he keeps possession. Demidov drove unbelievable transition results for me in the junior league last year because he does stuff like this. Little skating moments that open up the ice and change angles really quickly. Easy entry pass there. Finds his way into scoring areas. Just a really nice sequence of plays from Demidov here after covering for his defenseman there. So yeah, you see the easy entry pass here. He sticks with it in open space. You see him here. He's got a lane, especially if this guy doesn't cut across enough to meet him. All eyes are on this guy right now, right? Demidov just finds his way, snakes his way through and in medium danger areas, gets the puck on the net. So good stuff from Demidov. You know, you can see how there can be production in his game here and there by doing stuff like that. He's an offensive facilitator. This is just what he does. It's these little things that I love about hockey players. And you see Demidov as this offensive dynamo, this scoring guy. And yeah, not everything goes his way all the time, but he didn't give up on this play. So it's going to come right to him off the faceoff. You're going to see that he kind of bobbles it a little bit here and it goes right off his skate. This is a race that, I mean, probably he should be winning, but he's facing some pretty quick pressure right off the faceoff with guys that probably have a more advantageous position to catch up to that puck. But he gets right in there and with some help from his defenseman manages to keep the puck in the offensive zone. I mean, if that puck gets chipped out, let's say he's not there to help out 77, and this guy manages to chip the puck right past Demidov, who may have given up on the play or whatever, this guy could have been quite off to the races on his own. But it's these little things that you keep the puck in the offensive zone, you put in that little extra amount of pressure. This is just what I love about Ivan Demidov all together, right? Like the ability to chain plays together and do it at speed and do it in a way that is threatening at any level of hockey. So Demidov, in the olden days, maybe he would swing wide around here, look off everybody, maybe go for another lap, or maybe go for another lap, you know, do the snail shell thing. But you can't do that in the KHL, it seems. And so for him to immediately, or at least quickly enough, recognize that there is good support here deep in the offensive zone in the corners, gets the puck to him. He's got a nice little yellow brick road to work with here to cut right into the scoring areas and get himself a little chance on the tip here. I mean, he gets tied up here, so obviously not a clean look, but he does manage to tip it through the crease and they just leave him alone. He's just on his own behind the goal line and without a second thought, again, just toss it out in front. You know there's traffic. You know there's support there from line mates. Something could have happened here, sure, if a bounce went your way, but I would rather the puck be sent into this area with support there from your line mates than maybe him going for a skate somewhere else or allowing play to sort of settle down. He's just constantly thinking, puck's in front, puck's in front. If the puck's not in front, I'm going to go in front, especially if we have possession of the puck. So this is at 4-on-4, and generally I don't think too much about 4-on-4, but you do get a decent look at maybe what they're capable of because of the extra space that they have to play with here. And so on this play, Demidov loses a battle in the corner here, but I mean, that's okay. You know, can't win them all. But what I like about this is once the puck gets turned over in his offensive zone, he recognizes that this is a pretty good option for this player to get the puck into. And from there, you have some help up here from the defenseman here. You might have this player go to the middle of the ice and maybe become a scoring option here. So Demidov just makes a quick little cut with his feet. Now he's wide open, right? Like there's just nobody around him. So he'll get the puck here, have tons of time to make a read and look at a chance here or look for a chance. And I mean, I think he does the right thing here. You've got a guy in the middle here. This is a prime one-timer opportunity if you can get the puck through these two guys. I've seen him make passes like this through a pair of sticks quite often, so I can't fault him trying. He gets an unwelcome deflection and Omsk comes the other way. I'm a little things guy, and I think this is a really good example of how skilled players need to use their skill everywhere around the ice to be productive in different ways. So what you'll see is Demidov is in a really good support position right here. What he can do from here is if he gets a pass, he can rim it around the boards here or carry it around. I mean, it's 4-on-4, so he would know that there's nobody in the neutral zone. He does have options here. You've got this guy bearing down on him, and you'll see him use skill in a way to keep the puck protected, just a way for a split second to create an easier passing lane. Little applications of skill, right? He's not trying to keep it on his forehand to chip it through the pressure. He uses his hands to get around the pressure and make a lane, and it's a much, much easier and cleaner pass to the supportive player here. This is what I'm looking for in skilled players. This is kind of what you need. It's not just about scoring. It's not just about offense. If you can make life easier for the guys on your team, then you're golden. So again, it's little things. And I know this is a broken record at this point, but so much of hockey, especially at higher levels, is keeping it simple, keeping it effective, and understanding the importance of time and space, right? Demidov, this entire entry sequence, he's not charging into this pressure, he's not charging into the goaltender here as hard as he can or whatever. He's a scorer, right? This guy can shoot, he can pass, he's an offensive player, and this whole entry, he just stays in open space. There's just nobody covering him. I mean, this guy is asking someone to do it, but Demidov just uses his feet subtly, right, to stay in position, cleanly catch the pass, and get himself a shot on net that gets blocked. So an understanding of space in the offensive zone and how to find it and stay in it is super important. And the other thing too on this, and I didn't even catch this the first time I watched the shift, but Demidov, again, a player often maligned for defensive play and maligned for being soft or whatever. Keep your eye on him here. So he just took that shot on net. There is a ton of space here. So, you know, his defenseman has pinched up and he's going to cover it pretty well. Like, they're going to get an exit. But he's covering that space okay. You don't want him this deep when you have this kind of a situation going on, so maybe that's less than ideal. But he covers for it pretty well. There's an exit pass, but he's right there. He challenges it, keeps the puck, you know, sort of in a chaotic state in the neutral zone, ties up the man along the boards. Earlier in the year when I watched him, this was the kind of thing that he was losing a lot of when he would get involved. It's just guys would establish body positioning on him a little bit too easily, had a bit of trouble winning these battles consistently. His effort factors into them keeping possession, gaining it back, and that's what you want. You want your scoring guys doing that more often than not. As long as he can just get a little bit quicker, defend a little bit better with his legs, I think the future's really, really bright for Demidov. At the beginning of this shift, so he's fresh. Ideally, this is a situation where he goes in and battles for this puck and keeps possession in the offensive zone, but he loses the initial interaction. Credit to him, he sticks with it. He doesn't just sort of, you know, give up and skate back and maybe catch a potential exit attempt. He just sticks with it, and unfortunately, he's just a step behind and loses those battles, and that's okay. But then, you know, again, there he is again, doing his thing. It's these quick thinking moments that I really, really like out of him that you see now that you didn't see before. He catches the puck quickly, gives it a little tap, sets it up for himself, and puts a, I mean, it's not the hardest thing in the world, but he does have some pressure to work around and manages to get the puck around the forechecker and gets the offensive zone entry. And the other thing too, right? If you don't have space, such an important thing is body positioning, or at least being the person between the puck and a defender. We obviously have the threat of a stick check here, but being Demidov shooting left here, I mean, he could be a tipping threat once he gets into the scoring area here, especially because he is almost closer to the goalie and between the goalie and number 86 here. Like, he just has the advantageous situation for a tap in, and if he's strong, he can withstand that guy. There's just not a whole lot of pressure coming, and so just establishing that positioning on those routes to the net, that's kind of what you want, right? If he's behind the defenseman, it gives the defenseman the advantage on getting the stick on the puck as opposed to working from behind Demidov there. You're just seeing a lot of maturity, I would say, is the word that I would use. You know, he obviously has the capability to be among the more skilled players for his age on the entire planet, but you're seeing him just participate effectively in the team game a little bit more. Always really, really supportive of line mates in the offensive zone, keeping his pass options really, really simple but effective, and being incisive when necessary, right? Like, even there, he kind of probably knew that this was not a situation he was likely going to win getting the puck in that direction, so he just hands it back, right? It's a little quick give and go, little play, but a collection of little things. You know, the worst thing is losing possession and you're going the other way, right? So the more he does that, or at least the more he maintains possession in the offensive zone, the better. And the more chances he'll have to do the things that he's best at. So this is a neutral thing, I would say, for me. Like, I'd love Demidov to be a little bit quicker to attack in these situations. But again, it's the willingness. And I do like seeing players pressuring guys quickly, right? Like, before this guy even touches the puck, you've got Demidov pretty close to him and being a threat. So his only real option is just to flip it. Obviously gets the offensive exit, but it's not clean. They get the puck back, and Demidov's pressure pretty much forced that play to happen. It's just if he were a bit quicker, maybe he would be more of a factor in causing a turnover there. But I mean, considering how the rest of the shift has gone, I don't really care. Like, Demidov is cooking. Obviously, a bit of a low percentage shot here. You don't have much support. You know, there's traffic here. I don't know what else he's supposed to do, but he sticks with it. You know, again, like this is really smart positioning. This is Evgeny Kuznetsov going into the corners, slapping away at the puck, and you have Demidov right there for support, and you'll also notice that nobody is around him. He's kind of alone, so he kind of gets some time to do stuff himself. Nice clean pull along the boards there, quick pass, creates some shot assist for his line mate there. Obviously doesn't go in. That wasn't the best shot in the world, but it goes out of play. Again, another little thing, but he uses his edges really, really well in this situation, so Demidov is here. The puck is going to come around this way, and he's just going to turn really effectively and cut it off before it exits the offensive zone. This, to me, is such an important thing in players, and it's why I value skaters so much. It's because a lesser skater, you know, this puck is maybe outside the offensive zone. Everybody has to regroup and go back into the offensive zone and really just do the whole thing all over again. But Demidov is, you know, able to get there. He's able to keep the puck in the offensive zone and maintain possession. So, I mean, I always will value players that are capable of using their feet away from the puck to do little things like this and make plays. This is what I love about a guy like Ivan Demidov's development, right? These quick little passes to just play as a unit and keep play moving along, right? The NHL is often very tactical. It's very sort of methodical. Speed matters, obviously. Physicality matters. Everything matters. But seeing the ice well, using your line mates, finding space, you know, it's all super, super important. Demidov, for a long time, was very me first, very individually talented, very I'm going to do everything myself. And that's cool, right? That showcases a lot of talent. But in reality, in the NHL, possession matters. You know, little passes, little moves matter. And on this cycle in the offensive zone, you just see it so many times with Demidov here, right? Like, he very well could try to work his way this way, carry the puck, you know, challenge this guy one-on-one, do the Demidov in junior hockey thing, but he just makes a quiet little pass, you know, and keeps the puck down low, gets it to Evgeny Kuznetsov down here, and look where he is now. Demidov has gotten himself here, and then number 14 here, this defenseman, is not much of a factor. I mean, he might be if he takes a step, but Demidov does have enough room here to be a scoring option. And after Demidov keeps this puck in the offensive zone, it just showcases more of what makes him so interesting as an offensive player, projectable to any level, really. Just keep an eye on where he goes from here. He's going to cut in and be almost on his own the whole way as a scoring option. He'll just step right in. He's a great option here. If this puck gets pulled this way, that could be a dangerous scoring chance. It goes the other way, but then he just cuts again, and he's still alone. Like, he's on his own here. This isn't Demidov with the puck, moving the puck around, pass, you know, do everything himself. This is when other people have the puck. He's still finding ways to be dangerous and finding ways to create space. Even the little stop here. Like, I know these are little things, but they add up. The stop that he does there to keep himself in a good area, it makes him a pass option, right? Even if it isn't a scoring option, he now has the puck in medium danger areas. He has the puck in a favorable situation relative to this defenseman, where a quick behind the back pass maybe or a weak backhand gets the puck in front of the net to this guy. That obviously doesn't happen. He chooses to make a bit of a safer pass, I guess you could say, by going to his support here. But again, he's making himself another option. And if he has the puck here, boom, he's got a clear lane. So this is looking like a very strong series of offensive decisions from Demidov. Not perfect, but really, really good. And he gets the puck back, not super cleanly, but he still does have this option to at least get the puck on net for a potential tip. But the thing that also is quite interesting, too, that he has the option of is this guy coming down and heading this way. So, you know, Demidov just threads a little pass down low. And then again, like, look where he is. He gets the puck down low to Evgeny Kuznetsov, and he just goes straight to the net. And again, he's on his own. He's a tipping threat. Is number 14 here maybe a threat to cause a turnover? Sure. But Demidov is between the puck and him. And all Demidov needs is a fraction of a second to get the puck off of his stick on net from there. It's just so important when I'm watching hockey to see things like this out of offensive players. And again, this is just a really nice offensive sequence from Ivan Demidov here. It's almost tough doing this video because there's a lot happening in his game that is really impressive, but it's subtle. And it's things that are going to be very important. And I personally, coming into this, I'm a little biased because I really have liked him so much in his career. But this is a high level of play that concerned me last season. And even earlier in this season, it was a little bit less predictable and a little bit less selfless than this. But even this play, right? He catches this pass clean on the defensive zone exit. He has a lane, and obviously if he was the quickest guy in the world, maybe he's off to the races. And I mean, this is just an entire runway. Like, St. Petersburg is in an extremely advantageous position right this second, but he chooses the selfless thing and works a give and go here with number 16 at the point. So Demidov has like an entire playground of space here, and so does this guy. I mean, this is just silly. And so we can see what he does here because there's a lot of scary stuff for Omsk that could happen here, right? So you've got a bit of defensive pressure coming here, but again, this guy is wide open. Demidov wide open. You have this trailing guy who still has this space. Like, if this guy goes and covers Demidov here, you've got to hope that this player comes in and fills this because number 16 on St. Petersburg could be a threat. And a split second faster, and Demidov might have a tap in here. It's not the most perfectly placed pass, but it's cross crease. But Demidov still manages to get it, lands himself a wraparound attempt. He's gonna be a productive player the more that this happens. He capitalized on the mistakes, or at least the poor positioning the opponent was in, the situation they found themselves in. He did what he needed to do to be effective there. And just then, I mean, this is another thing where quickness might help him. I think ideally, when you look at the difference between the distance this guy has to cover and the distance Demidov has to cover, probably should be a situation he's winning, and he moves the puck maybe to this guy, or maybe this guy is going to start streaking this way, but he doesn't do any of that. He actually just loses the battle, and they manage to get a shot on net here. Obviously, Demidov's not a perfect hockey player. Not everything's going to go his way. Yeah, you also want him to be getting the puck out of the zone here somehow, and that's not the first time that we've seen a little bit of a soft pass from him get knocked down and held in the defensive end. Not perfect, but still, you're seeing a lot of good stuff out of Demidov, and it's promising. So last period, we talked a lot about his off-puck positioning in the offensive zone and how I feel like he's best suited to sort of finding open space in the offensive zone and being a scoring threat from that space. So here, I mean, I'm not sure he's making himself much of a threat outside of maybe a tipping threat. The puck does end up on the weak side of the ice here and goes out of play, but there was plenty of room here for him to play with. He chooses to sort of end up behind this defenseman here. It's a little nitpicky for sure, and there's definitely a lot of other situations that he's been in better areas, but I feel like in terms of what he's best suited for, that probably wasn't it. Oh man, okay, so again, paths to the net. Paths to the net. It matters. So look at him here. So again, he is alone, and you've got Kuznetsov here circling back. He's going to think of something here. This is an NHL player, right? Evgeny Kuznetsov, not bad at hockey. And he circles back. Just a beautiful pass from Kuznetsov too, right? But Demidov is wide open. He has momentum. This guy is slowing down. This guy's not a factor. These two are tied up. This guy is turned to face this direction. And this guy ain't doing anything to block this pass. So Demidov is just going to exploit this really, really well and get to the net, and a nice backhand. I mean, I've seen Demidov roof some opportunities like this from in tight on his backhand. He's got a bit of gap there. The goalie's going to save the puck once in a while for sure, but that was just such a really, really nice sequence from Demidov. On this shift, you're seeing some really, really nice support play from Demidov here. So on the entry, he's going to find his man at the blue line, put the pass across his body, and they establish some possession. This pass almost became very dangerous to get to Demidov below the goal line, but he's going to fetch it anyway, get involved in a physical battle, do what he can to maintain possession. They do, and then he fetches it again. I mean, Demidov is showing a work rate that he's definitely going to need to show. I'm getting to the point where if there are people criticizing him for being lazy or not good defensively or whatever, I just disagree. I feel like he has gotten a lot better, especially since the beginning of last season. I want him to get a little bit quicker, but as he is right now, I mean, I can see why he's been a pretty productive KHL player to this point, because he's just chipping in so well. So again, this is NHL-like stuff. And as far as I know, he's coming over to North America next year. And I feel like in a year, he will look like an NHL player of some kind, especially if he gets a little bit quicker. That's really all I can really say. So he's carrying the puck, enters the offensive zone on a dump and chase. He's the one chasing after it. And he wins the battle. He wins the race. He is there, right? He's got some room. These two guys are there. This is what you want in the NHL even, right? You've got wingers. You got a guy who is really skilled, Fancy Pants McGee, and he's dumping and chasing the puck and winning. If he's a little bit stronger, a little bit of a cleaner touch on the puck, he had the right idea. Send that puck, rim it around as hard as you can, and establish possession in the offensive zone. So again, a little thing off the puck that I love to see. We're towards the end of the game. You know, they haven't shown me what the score is right now, so I don't really know exactly what's happening situation-wise, but it doesn't really matter. So Demidov in his own end, he's in open space here. You'll see him kind of drift this way, but I mean, they're gaining possession in the corner here. And you'll see him just make a little tiny cut right there, and boom, he is a key breakout option, right? He doesn't generate the carry himself. He's not wheeling up from below the goal line, you know, but he's making himself a target. He's making himself an option, and he has some room to play with here, and we'll see what he does. But this is just really smart, basic stuff that he executes really well at the professional level in Russia, which is no joke. So he does exactly what I expect him to do here. So he's a left-hand shot on the exit along the right-hand boards. Not the best position to be in unless you just want to, you know, dump it into the offensive zone and all that. But he'll work his way across the ice and put himself in more of a positive situation, into more space and giving himself more options. He earns himself the offensive entry. This isn't something I particularly like seeing from young players on, you know, but it's at the professional level, so it's a little more forgivable. But crossing the offensive blue line and just popping one on net, it doesn't really work a whole lot of the time, and defenders know how to just get in the way. You know, this is why sometimes in the NHL you see players just look at a situation like this and go, well, I may as well just like rifle it into the corner here. And maybe 16 here, if he's got some good speed, can fetch it. You know, let's say he ends up here. You could put the puck out in front from here, or if he fetches the puck here, you could put the puck out in front from there. But, and those would be better options than just putting one on net from outside the faceoff circle. And I think that's the second time Demidov's done that this game. But I mean, for every time he's done that, he's also gotten himself a scoring chance from in close to the net. So just for posterity, before the game ends, I mean, what would it be without Demidov getting one more scoring chance? So here he is, tons of space to play with. He's got a little bit of a runway here. This defenseman's momentum is carrying him this way, but he is going to turn and try to cover Demidov going that way. And Demidov just cuts around him, and I don't know what number slot pass of this game this is. I want to say 4 maybe. May not sound like much, but in a guy playing, I think it was 13 minutes in this game, that's pretty good. I mean, he's out there trying to cook for line mates, and it just didn't work out. The puck ends up along the boards. They have the extra man on, and that's the end of the game. All in all, I mean, I think Demidov did really well. I don't really have a ton of really negative thoughts. This is definitely better than what I remember seeing of him in the KHL last year, which, seeing as that was a year ago, it would be troubling if it was still the same. You see the things he brings to the table. The more selfless style of play that needs to be functional, but you still saw the skill level. I was really impressed with how he fit into a system rather than being the guy. He was working give and goes. He was cutting into the scoring areas off the puck. He was doing all these little things, getting involved in ways that you definitely need to see players get involved at the professional level. And he still managed to find himself a few chances here and there. He set up a few. He took a few scoring chances himself. You can see how he's a player who could be productive, even at professional levels. I mean, he's a guy who has so much talent and so much potential, and it's really only going to be a function of how far he can take the quickness in his game, the explosiveness, that just raw, I'm going to win the race to this puck. I'm going to get there first. I'm going to make the play quickly, right? It's those things that in the NHL, I think will be the barrier between him being a really good offensive player that can produce on the power play and has some highlight reel moments, and being a truly, really high-end player on both sides of the puck who is productive every night. So we'll see what happens with him, but I was really impressed with this game overall. This is promising to me, and I feel like he's on the right track to being a pretty good offensive NHL player that puts in enough on both sides of the puck that you can play him a lot of minutes. So that's it for the video. If you liked it, please like the video as well and subscribe. There's a lot of you that watch that aren't subscribed. Or you can check out Scouching.ca, where a subscription will get you access to our Discord server, as well as plenty of cool data tables for drafted and undrafted prospects from across the National Hockey League and around the world. So you can check those out at Scouching.ca, where all the perks are listed by tier over there. So that's going to be it for this one. We got another one coming out really quickly on another defenseman who a lot of people are very well aware of, a player who I was a little bit lower on than many people, but I'm excited to watch him in Chicago Blackhawks' second overall pick, Artyom Levshinov. So we'll see you then. Thanks very much for watching, and yeah, good game from Demidov, and he's a good player.